Okay. All right. We are ready. Okay. We are going live in five, four, three, two, one. All right. Good evening. Good evening. We are preparing for our podcast live discussion tonight with some black girls who clearly rock. We are so glad to have these special guests, but we'll start by introducing our discussion this evening. You are listening to She's Always Right and He's Never Wrong, a podcast where two black psychologists get together and have ongoing discussions about everything from politics to relationships. We are so glad to have these lovely ladies with us this evening in honor of May, which is Mother's Day. We actually are going to be doing a show tonight specifically honoring what we all know that women often do too much of, which is work. So we're talking to two working mothers this evening. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining us. First, we'll start by introducing Crystal Bryant. This lady hails from San Antonio, Texas. Shout out to Texas in the house, not cold, North Dakota. Oh, okay. Anyway, um, she is the married mother of six children. I'm trying to figure out how she has six children with a face
So
that looks that divine and
Oh,
unstressed,
thank you.
plus three bonus children that she's added with love. Oh, isn't she special? God bless you and not me. Okay, so I'm kidding. Her children are beautiful. Crystal is a licensed vocational nurse for a home health company. She's also a licensed esthetician. Look at that beautiful skin at Aesthetically Yours I'm sorry, Crystal, can you help me with the name?
It's Gratis Lepay.
Gratis Lepay, who's the CEO and founder. She's also a photographer extraordinaire at A. Maria's Place, where she is the CEO and owner. If you are in the San Antonio area, please check her out. Her photography is beautiful. She'll get your skin right. And clearly, if you fall out on the floor, she can pick you up and resuscitate you. So
Exactly.
she does it all. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much for joining us tonight, Crystal. Moving
Thank you
on
for
to my
having me.
soul sister, Sister Tori Pickens. Tori is joining us from that great city of Chicago, Illinois. Welcome, Tori, this evening.
Hey.
Tori Pickens is a computer science educator with over 25 years of experience in education. She's been responsible for leading coding initiatives in Chicago public schools and has been featured and celebrated by no other than Google as an outstanding technology educator. Tori serves, excuse me, Tori currently serves on the Chicago Public Schools Computer Science for All Advisory Council, in which she is responsible for identifying and piloting new computer science initiatives. Her current undertaking is with MIT, in which she will be responsible for piloting a new curriculum geared towards understanding the impact of artificial intelligence on society. Tori currently resides in her hometown of Chicago. That's South Side, y'all. Y'all know y'all heard of Harold's Chicken, even though I don't really like it. But whatever the case, she has two beautiful children, Amir, age 26. Again, Tori, we don't know how you have a 26-year-old as young as you look, and Jory, 10. Look for her, y'all. She's going to be a star. As well as two grandchildren, AJ and Ashton. And in her free time, Tori loves to travel and finds joy in gardening. She considers herself to be an 80s R&B aficionado. She has an eclectic taste in music, so much so that she proclaims that she will be a world-renowned DJ in her second life. I don't know about second life, maybe first life, because you ain't seen this
DJ
girl
Tori P.
coming soon to a theater near you or to a park or to a DJ booth near you. So welcome, ladies. Go ahead, Bilal, and take us away.
all right. Welcome to this episode of Conversations with Working Mothers. Sabrina, thank you for that introduction. Thank you to Crystal and Tori for joining us on this podcast today as we celebrate mothers, as we celebrate the work that mothers do, always putting it in. So we're dedicating today to having that conversation about always putting it in, the work that has to be done in and outside of the home. So thank you both for being here.
You are listening to She's All.
Uh-oh.
I'm sorry about that.
Sabrina's giving us double time right now. She's letting us hear ourselves again.
And I'm trying to get it off. I'm sorry, guys. That was an accident. Go ahead. Keep going, Bilal.
So we're gonna start. I think it's cool to again, we're thinking about working mothers. So maybe just talking about I'm gonna take you all back to when you first became mothers. And what was that like for you, going from this space of, I always imagine this invisible but very thick and demarcated line of before you were a mother and then once becoming a mother. And so I'm wondering if you could take us back to that moment when you started to see yourself as a mom.
Whoever wants to go first.
Yeah, exactly.
You can go first, Miss Tori.
Okay, I will. So I became a mother at the age of 20. So my story isn't like your typical story. Let's see here. So I was in school when I became pregnant in college, and I decided that I'm the type of person who I'm motivated by haters. So I'm like, okay, so I would say one thing I wanted to say first and foremost is that my son, having him change my life, I know that for a fact. I thank God. God has many reasons for making you a mom, and I know that was one big reason, is that he changed my life. He helped me become more focused. Not that I wasn't focused, because I was in school, I was on the right track. My grades were decent, and I got pregnant by my boyfriend at the time. And what happened, so I decided, like, okay, I'm still going to graduate. So I sat out a semester. I was pregnant the whole entire time. I went to school, summer school. I sat out first semester. And then in January, I went back to school and brought him along with me. So I came home, had him in Chicago. And I was like, okay, like, I'm going to bring my son back to school with me. And I mean, it's by the grace of God that I had an amazing support system, because my parents, of course, helped me with rent and all that other stuff. And, and I was a young mom. So, there were lots of programs that could help me with childcare. And my professors were so very supportive at Clark Atlanta University, because there were times where I had to bring him along with me to class. And I remember one time, my son Amir, who is a grown man now, he was making a lot of noises in class, like coo, coo, coo. You know how like babies coo. And I was like, come on now, you gotta be quiet, like we're in class, and it's not like, and so the professor was like, it's okay. And I needed that. I needed to hear that. I needed that validation. So, like I said, sat out, came back, had him. And then after I graduated that next year, I decided I wanted to move to New York. And I was like, but I'm taking him with me again. So and then at that time, Sabrina and I were in New York together, because I knew that I wanted to go to graduate school. And I just know that, once again, my family, they were super supportive, and they had the means to help me. And I know it's not the case for everyone. I don't know what life would have been like without their financial support and just, mental support. So I was a mother at 20, and that forever changed my life. There are lots of things that, struggles that I had being a single parent. I remember something in particular that I was like, oh God, wait, this is real. My brother was getting married, and he had a huge wedding party. And, I was like, I'm gonna be in this wedding, what I'm like, I can't wait to get my dress, but I was showing at the time. And my family was like, oh, you're not about to be in this wedding. And I was like, what? And so my family was kind of, I don't know, what we would call bougie or what have you. And I just was like, wait a minute, what? I can't, so that was like my first realization that, wait a minute, you're a little different than what was expected of you. Not that I have to check myself or do anything different, but once again, motivated by haters or just by people who are like, nah, you need to be, now this is where you belong. And I'm like, no, I can do anything that I want to do. I can be anywhere. I can still, but I can bring my child along. And I did. And it wasn't the easiest run, but Bree helped me out. She used to babysit for me all the time. I had my friend Doug there. At the time, I had my current boyfriend and his family were super supportive in New York. I had Chaka Pilgrim, who's a big music executive now. She was helpful. I mean, I had a whole village of, I mean, when they talk about it takes a village, it really takes a village, and a village helped raise my son. And, you know, and then 16 years later, I had another kid. So I thought I was done, and then I wasn't, because life changes. I'm still not married, but that's okay.
That's all right. Shout out to the village. Shout out to the village supporting you, holding you down. Shout out to them Tory haters.
Right.
Just shout out to Clark Atlanta University professors, always showing the love, being able to allow you to keep doing what you need to do. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yes.
Shout out.
There's more, but I want to go ahead and give somebody else the floor, because I'll be talking. We'll be here tomorrow.
All right, well, Crystal, break it down for us. Tell us your story.
So my story is a little different. I became a mother at 18 in high school, my senior year of high school. And my mother I was the one that wanted to be sheltered and not do anything, and just was like, okay, I'm a mom, that's it. There's no prom, there's no nothing. I'm just going to graduate and I'm going to go get that job and I'm going to do it. And my mom was the one that was like, no, you're going to go to prom. You're going to learn from not a mistake, but from the choices that you make, and we're going to press forward. So for me, I really didn't have a village. My mom passed away when I was 22. She was 45. So, you know, that wasn't there. My dad was in a whole nother state. So although I was married, it was just my ex-husband's family. And, you know, it was just a little bit of a different situation. But my son changed my life from wanting just the basics and just going through life to deciding that I needed to have more, because I had a whole human being dependent on me. So the basic job wasn't going to cut it. The just breezing through life wasn't going to cut it. You needed to step it up. So that's how he changed me.
All right. Well, can I jump in there, Bilal, and tell my story? Oh, okay.
Go ahead. Break it down, Sabrina.
Well, you know, I am a working mother too, and I have a little guy. I waited to be old and gray to have a baby. And just to join the I was not married club, I was not married. Don't tell nobody that. Although I was an all the way grown woman and still not married. But anyway, so I had a 6-year-old, and I started my life out as a single mom and really doing it all. And what was interesting is that I think the one thing that we'll probably get into a little bit later is that, you know, there is a lot of pressure and expectations and even shame for women who have children, unless you are a newlywed and, you know, the day after your wedding, people are asking you, when are you going to have a baby? But aside from that, typically there is a little bit of shade that people throw at you, you know, around having a child, especially if you did not have a child under the guidelines of marriage. But what I will say is that, you know, the journey is still not easy, even, you know, many years after you ladies gave birth. But still, I think at the end of the day, you know, the village, I could not deny who was there for me. Friends, family, you know, people that just gave their wisdom. And I'll be honest with you, I had so many strangers who literally, I remember sitting in church one day and I was pregnant and ashamed. And I remember that this lady sat next to me, didn't know her. It was time to do like greet your neighbor. And she says, "How you doing?" And I was kind of a little bit weepy because I really didn't know what to do. And she said, "Well, what's going on?" And I said, "Well, I don't know why I started to tell this woman I did not know my business. But I said, well, I'm pregnant." And she says, "Oh, well, that's wonderful. That's a blessing." And I'm looking at her like, what? What are you talking about? It's a blessing. So then she asked me a few more questions. She says, "Well, you know what? I'm going to throw you a baby shower." And I'm thinking, lady, I don't know you. You don't know me. And what are you talking about a baby shower? She threw me a baby shower. Shout out to Alicia who hearted our live tonight because she was there. It was not
All
her,
right.
but she did help. And participated, and they brought gifts, and it was the most beautiful shower for 4 people, literally. And I turned out I had ended up having 5 baby showers for
Wow.
this little guy. So
Shout out
literally,
to that sister who started that train of showers and love
yes,
and all
yes.
that.
Sister Lucky, thank you. I still love you. Her name is
Sister
Lucky for a
Lucky.
reason,
All right,
right?
Sister Lucky. Shout out to
but
Sister Lucky.
but yeah, definitely. It's just been an interesting journey. But we can jump to the next question. Bilal, if you want to hit it.
So in looking back, and I appreciate the three of you really talking about your experience. I'm gonna come back to the haters though. I gotta come back to the haters. So y'all hold that because it sounds like for at least the three of you in some way, shape, or form or fashion, you had some of those challenges and maybe some haters were contributing to that. But the good things that you all saying in terms of that village and the love. And so in looking back over the years, what would you all say has been some of those the best parts of being a mom? What are those things that really, and every day I'm sure is, blessings and all those things, but I'm wondering what are those standout moments when you find yourself smiling, when you find yourself saying, I need to jot this down, or when you say, I got to talk to somebody about it. I'm wondering if you could share a couple of those moments.
Well, I'll go again, I suppose. So I'll go with my daughter first. She was a preemie. So she was born at 34 weeks. So I was like, dang, what are we going to do? At the time when I had her, it was considered a geriatric pregnancy. So that, which
But
is
black don't
weird.
crack. Let me just say that right now.
Yeah.
Black don't crack. So,
Yeah. But if we look good a lot of times on the outside, but sometimes on the inside, we got work to do, right?
Oh yeah.
That's how we come on,
Definitely.
So I had her, at 37, I think, geriatric once again. So long story short, had her 34 weeks. And so, the whole NICU thing going back and forth, whatever, they're in the hospital. I mean, it's super depressing. Like one step forward, 2 steps back, in terms of growth and development with a premature child and, learning all these different things and milestones are supposed to take place and don't. So finally, when I brought her home, I was like, I'm about to build a baby. I'm about to build this girl. Right? Like, so she was a project, and I'm not trying to be funny, but because I'm an educator, this is probably the type of thing that an educator would do. I would literally, like, when she came, she'd be like a month or month and a half old or whatever. I'm like, we about to read. We're doing, I literally strategically put her in a chair every day for an hour or two. I was like, you're going to do this. You're going to do that. This is this. Like, I was like, she's an experiment. Like, I'm going to experiment and I'm going to build her and she's going to be okay. And when I tell you, my daughter she was really, they're really, when they're younger and they're super smart, they're really, really intriguing. She's getting older now. So it's like, she's a smart girl. All right. But when they're young and they're like, when they're 3 years old and they're tying their shoes, everybody's like, what in the world? Or they're 3 years old and reading. They're like, what are you doing? I was like, and I'm like, I built her. I built her. She was like literally a project. So those are like that's like one of the glowing moments, of, just being a mom. And in terms of my son, I'm starting to really feel better about being his parent now as he's older, because I worried about him throughout the years so much. My son took me through hell and back. Parenting him has been the hardest job that I've ever had. And raising a young Black man on the south side of Chicago, who, as a single parent, it's been very tough, very difficult. And like now that I'm seeing, some of my labor come into fruition, you will say, or, I'm trying to see I'm seeing some of the fruits of my labor. And I can't believe it. Some of the things that he's saying to me, he's repeating things back to me that I was telling him years ago. Oh, now you want to talk about that? So I'm starting to really, really feel more fulfilled as a parent with my son, because I struggled. I mean, I'm talking about, I remember, and I'm not trying to be funny, but I remember one time the kindergarten. I mean, I've been getting phone calls from about this kid ever since pre-K, right?
Mhm.
So kindergarten. So I used to smoke cigarettes. Like I'm telling you, I used to smoke cigarettes. This boy took one of my cigarettes to school and put it behind his ear. And so the teacher called me, like, Ms. Pickens, mind you, I'm an educator, so I'm getting a call at my school about my kid at his school. It's like, Amir brought a cigarette to school and it's behind his ear. I'm like, Lord have mercy. Well, we don't know. But it's, everything, he's a dad now, and things are just so much better. And those are some of the glowing, you don't know when you're gonna have those glowing moments. Because sometimes your mother, you can feel really down and out. So those are the things that make me smile and make me say, okay, all right, I see where we're going with this. Yeah. All right.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Crystal, how about for you?
I can piggyback off of Tori. I have he will be 21 in November, and a 19-year-old and a 15-year-old, 3 boys. Those were I say my first set. I hate saying it like that because they're all siblings, but those were my first set from my first marriage. And then I have my legend who's 5 and my twins that are 3, and only have 1 daughter. So I'm raising 5 boys. So I say all that to say that my older 2 sons literally sent me to hell and back. And I wanted to back up because I didn't give my thanks. I want to give my flowers now. I did have, even though my mom had passed on, I did have church members and friends at the time that really stepped in. My dad did what he could from a distance, so I never want to discredit. But when you lose a parent, you sometimes feel alone. People can't relate. Your mom, you don't have your mom, but I want to give my flowers. Yes, I did have support. My ex-husband's family was somewhat hands-on when they could be. So Shafika, I had my village from time to time. But back off of what Ms. Tori was saying, yes, my older son sent me to hell and back, especially when I went through a divorce. And that was kind of when we went through it got real, it got tough, and it happened like almost overnight. I was trying to go through nursing school, which required me to go to school at night. And here you have these teenage boys that were like, oh, okay, we're going to do what we want to do. And so what brings me joy is, even though the last couple years were rough, my son called me one day and he was like, Mom, I just want to thank you. Everything that's good in me is because of what you taught me, right down to how to clean a house, how to cook my own meals, how to do my laundry, little things that you think, all the stuff that they battled you with, going to school, doing all the right things. Now is like, he's teaching his girlfriend whose mother wasn't too much hands-on with her. So he's like showing her the ropes. And he was like, I just have to take time out of my day to tell you thank you. My oldest son has they both made me a grandmother. So I have 1 granddaughter and a grandbaby on the way, and my other son just had another baby. So there's 3 of them, 3 grandkids. But yes, when they come back and all the stuff, all the labor, all that you've instilled in them that you just think they're like, I'm not trying to hear it. They actually listen and they're applying it. And they may not take the road that you see or that you think they should, but they're on the right path. So wherever God leads them, that's where I'm going with it. But those are the things that bring me joy with my older ones. Now with my little legend, him reading his little dinosaur books, he can't say tree or he can't small words, but he's a little paleontologist. He'll tell you all the names of the dinosaurs. And that was my preemie baby. That was the NICU and the not being able to latch on and feed. And now he's reading dinosaur books. So, you just keep God in the forefront and get you there. But,
Absolutely. Well, you
Well,
all
thank you
are
for sharing.
so entertaining me with these stories. So I have to tell a quick story about Tori's son, Amir. So when we used to live in New York and I would babysit him from time to time, Amir was my man magnet. So I loved babysitting him because he was the cutest little boy in America. And then I would get all the guys would stop me in the store like, "Oh, your son is so cute." I'm like, "He ain't my son, but how you doing?" I
So
was like,
let me
"He's
get
my
this straight. Let me get
nephew."
this
Oh,
straight.
sorry, that wasn't part of
You
the
at
story.
some point
Oh,
saying,
so
"This is my son right here," and so you say
right.
you cleaned it up for us now,
Oh,
but
sorry,
I
that
think
wasn't
then
part of
you,
what you were asking. Okay.
I think you
Oh,
were saying
my
that was your
fault.
son in the grocery store. I think that's what you were
Right.
saying.
Well, no,
I
I
think that's what you were
did give
saying.
a shout out to Tori like it was my nephew, but I wanted to let them know I was available though. So, but whatever the case, I did get a few numbers off of Amir. Shout out to Amir. Thank you.
What did you
Very
call
handsome
him,
older
Bree?
man. Huh?
Bree, you had a nickname for him. What was
Oh, I
his
forgot.
nickname?
I have to think about what it was because I did have a nickname for him. I have a nickname
Yeah.
for everyone. I got to think about it. So, but I think probably my joy in in having my baby even older is I'm often floored at my level of patience because I know that as a young person, like the patience literally comes out of the sky from God. Cause I'm thinking, I feel outside of my body sometimes. Cause I'm thinking, like, at this point, you really should be tearing him up. And why are you standing on the sideline smiling? Like, who are you? Who is this person? So I think my joy has been really seeing just my level of patience and understanding and comfort that I think I'm able to provide him that I just know comes from the wisdom of being older. That's the only way I can speak to it because I don't know where it comes from. And it doesn't even feel like myself. It feels like somebody else. So that part I think is definitely been a joy. And just in general, I mean, I think I felt like I was inducted into a private club when I became a mother because suddenly people in the office that never talked to me all of a sudden were like, "You having a baby?" And then suddenly they like included me. And then it would be things like where to shop or where they were having a sale or where I could get certain things. And I was like, "Oh, like I didn't even know I wasn't in this club until I got in it." And then I'm like, "Oh, and people are really nice to you when you're a mom." And then, so that part was, I think, really surprising, but cool at the same time. So I definitely have enjoyed being a mom. And I never have really had the urge that a lot of women had to be a mom. I always said, well, I want to be a wife. I don't know about being a mama because I always felt like I'm too selfish or it's too much work. But it really has been tremendous, especially starting the journey out alone. So I was surprised at how wonderful it really was, once I shed the shame basket and all the rest of that went with it. But it has really been a joy. So let's
Well,
see.
I'm gonna push us here, and really, this conversation is about conversations with working moms,
Hmm.
and so I'm wondering if you all can share how you all have worked on or gotten to a place in terms of that parenting work balance and dealing with those responsibilities of both parenting and working. And I'm wondering if you all can talk a little bit about that process, that road of finding that balance or continuing to find that balance.
We haven't, and I'll just tell you, I drugged my kid so that he's not down here right now. Oh, sorry. Okay, no, I'm
So
kidding. In
Judgment
case the
free.
authorities are chasing me,
yeah,
but
Benadryl was not involved at all in that situation. No.
exactly. At least not tonight. But anyway, so yes. Now I'll go ahead and let the ladies take it. Whoever wants to go. Crystal, you were starting to say something.
Oh, for me, with the younger ones, it's all about schedule and consistency. I don't care if it's Saturday or Sunday, this is your bedtime. After this is adult time. We're not going to mix the two. There's no straying away from certain things. We are just consistent with. I'm still searching for it because what I could do with my older three boys doesn't work for Legend and the twins. So I have a major support system. My husband is very hands-on when I have to work, or I'm a nurse. If I'm on call and have to work from home on the weekends, he's got the kids. So it's really a day by day thing. Other than their sleep pattern, everything is like a flyby. What are we doing today? You got a facial to do? Okay, well, I'm gonna take the kids and go wash the car. So, we're still trying to find that balance, but on the things that we can remain consistent on, we do, and we don't stray away from it. And like right now, my daughter is with me, she's knocked out. She doesn't know that it's Monday. She don't know if it's Sunday, but she knows that that body is shutting down at 8:30. So
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, me, in terms of work-life balance, right? That's what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So because I'm an educator, like I feel like I'm like a pseudo housewife, but without a husband.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. It's because
Does anybody have a husband on them housewife shows, Tori? But go
what'd you
ahead.
say?
I
Wait,
said, does
what?
anybody have a husband on them housewife shows? No, not really. But go
No, not
ahead.
really. But the reason I said that is because like I'll make sure that I have my summers off because then I can, kind of like be at home. And that's very important to me. Work life, y'all don't understand. Work life balance is so important to me because my mother, who's deceased, was a workaholic. She was a very successful woman. She was a workaholic. And she would work her fingers to the bone. Like she would be up all night working on proposals or working on plans and things of the sort. And I was like, I'm not doing that. I said to myself, like, oh, no, I ain't doing that. That's not for me, right? I appreciate all of her hard work, but I just knew that, I'm a little bit more laid back. So I knew that, education would be good because I can have the summers off and do what I want to do. And I can pretend like I really actually don't work, but I do. And so that's how I think. And then the hours are so great for me. I don't know what I would do if I didn't have my hours. Like I work from 7:45 to 2:45 every day. So that allows me to still go to doctor's appointments, still do some things after work. I do have another job. I have a second job as well, but I'm still able, and with the help of my daughter's father, he's very helpful too. So even though we don't live together, we're not together, he's still very hands-on with his daughter, which is very important because if I can't take her to soccer or piano or all the other, she's in 50 million different activities, he's on deck waiting to help. So in terms of like, I intentionally said that work will never, I will never, ever be stressed at work because I feel like as an educator and working in certain schools for so long, I've seen many people pass away. And I've seen them pass away, and then I've seen a new teacher in there 2 days later. And I've always said that, not that I don't want to have a strong legacy at work, but I think that I'd much rather pour into my legacy in terms of my family, and then that's what's most important to me. So I just have to prioritize. And that's how it works for me. I do not do stressful work environments at all. Nope.
Well, good for you, Tori. I wish I could say the same.
So
But go ahead.
teaching. I like my job. I like teaching. So that's easier. I mean, I'm a computer teacher. Who doesn't want to go to gym, computer, music, and art, right? So I love my students. I love the school where I work. I love my colleagues. So that makes it all the easier as well, because that's not the case for everyone that is in education. So that's another reason why I'm not stressed in the workplace. I'm doing something I really honestly, authentically love and like. Yeah.
No, thank y'all for sharing that. Just I think Crystal, you started off saying, it's an ever evolving thing. There's some things that sound like they're set in stone, and there are other things that you just have to be more malleable and roll with the punches. And Tori, just hearing you say, hey, I've identified that these are kind of those must-haves, having your summer off. When you said that, your smile was like from one end of your screen to the other end of your screen. Just so you know. And so I could tell that's one of your must-haves, right? If you had a list of however many, that's it. But I think really hearing from the two of you, just the flexibility of saying, okay, this is what really helps, and these other things you have to kind of figure out. And even though, Crystal, I heard you saying it's every day. It sounds like the two of you have figured out, at least having your eye on this is what it would look like to have this balance. And so striving towards that thing, I think sounds like it's really important in terms of for the two of you and being a working mom. I'm gonna say Sabrina, but I know you be messing around all the time with your work schedule. But
right.
So what has helped you? Because I frequently when I'm calling, we on the phone, I'm going down to the next thing. You're taking my nephew to like 15 different things. So
Well,
what's up with
absolutely.
that?
I mean, I think like kind of what the ladies have already described. I mean, you have to be a scheduler extraordinaire to the best of your ability. I definitely keep a schedule. I think what I've learned about being older is that I cannot remember anything. So the Google Calendar is my friend. And even with that, I then have to remind myself to check the calendar because I have missed many things as a result of not checking the calendar. But I would say too that, I've had a very demanding job for a long time. So it really has been tough. But I try to, just as both Tori and Crystal have expressed, to kind of keep to what I plan. I'm very protective of those hours of, kind of when I pick up my son versus when I put him to bed. He does have a bit of a hard fixed bedtime for that reason because I do want to have some time, but I'll tell you this pandemic has thrown off my ability to do that. I think being at home and working has created a little more imbalance for me because what I find is I'm throwing him in front of the TV and I'm coming in my office and working and shouting things out. I now have a sound machine outside of my office. I said, "Oh, Sabrina, you've gotten out of control." And that's kind of my sign to the family to please leave me alone. It does not work. But what I'll say for either one of them, they both are knocking at the door, opening the door, or both, or coming at the same time. But what I'll tell you is that I've tried to put these things in place, but it really has been a bit of an epic fail for the last year. So what I found is that I'm even more tired and my body, I mean, thank God for the one thing I will say about the pandemic is thank God for masks because I'm a person who normally at the drop of a hat would catch a cold as soon as I'm fatigued. But I'll tell you, having that mask and washing my hands so much, I think has been a protective layer from all the germs. So I haven't had a cold.
All
But I'll
right, all
tell you
right.
that I need sleep though. And
Mhm.
I'm literally the person that sits in front of the television saying, "Oh, I'm going to watch something." And 2 seconds later, I'm out. Like I
Oh,
just, as soon as I'm still, I'm out. So with that, I think balance has been harder to achieve. But I'll tell you, when I made my transition from the East Coast to Texas several years ago, I had a crazy work schedule. I had like 3 jobs, but I also was single with no kids then. So I had 3 jobs. I worked these crazy hours, but I did say to myself, you will not work like that anymore for anyone for the very thing that Tori described, which is I saw people dropping dead around me. And I was like, I don't want that to be me because I'm just simply working too much. And again, these jobs will replace you in 5 minutes or the next day or 2 days later. And it's just not worth it. And your family is really where I say those are the people who protect you, who support you, who are there for you, and your friends and things like that. That's more important to me. So I try to be a little bit more diligent about taking time off or taking a vacation or something, even if it's, I call it scheduling mommy's day out, where I used to get a babysitter for 8 hours a day, at least, every other week. I was really good about that. I thought getting married would help keep that schedule aligned. It has not. It has fallen off. But what I'll tell you is I'm trying to get back there now that my schedule has picked up a little bit more, finding that time to do certain things. So I did get a massage subscription so that I could do a few things for myself. With that, which is reminding me, I did not schedule it for this month. I'll be doing that tomorrow. Thank you, ladies. So,
I just want to give a shout out to all the partners out there who mess up a mom's good schedule. I'm just saying, just
shout out
shout
to
out
Miss
to
Bailey.
shout out to those partners who, I messed up a monthly set schedule often.
Right.
I at the calendar, I just write meeting. I don't put a time next to it.
Right.
I just put the
Just
word
bootleg.
meeting. And,
Right.
and it's at an angle, and nobody can read it. It just says meeting. So
Right. And those two
So
little babies that live with you are, being compromised as a result. And they mama's tired. Cut it
I
out.
don't know. I can't call it. I can't call it.
Right.
Well, I'm
But
looking at
Sabrina,
time. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Tori. Sister Tori,
I
go
just want
ahead.
to speak to one thing that she said. Uh, in addition to work-life balance, there's the me time, right? Which
Yeah.
is like super duper important, because you can get lost in motherhood.
Oh,
And that's the thing.
absolutely.
Oh yeah. And I feel like after not after I had Amir, because I was still young, vibrant. You know, a lot of things were important to me that aren't important to me now, as important to me now. But like, you know, after I had Tori, I felt like I was little like, you know, like I didn't take care of myself the way that I should. You know, like when I look back at some of my pictures on Facebook, I'm like, I need to delete this timeline. You know, like what was I thinking? Why somebody ain't tell me on the show to say, girlfriend, what's up? You know, that's not you. Because I've always liked to dress decent and cute and whatever. But I look at some of the pictures, I'm like, what's going on? But that was that new motherhood, that 37-year-old motherhood kicking in. And then like, it's just, I'm telling you, it's just recent where I felt like maybe in the last like 4 or 5 years, maybe after her father and I broke up. That I'm like, oh, I need to level up. You know what I'm saying? Like I need to get back to the old me, do some things to make sure I'm caring for self, you know, intentionally. Like that's super important. And your children need to see you taking care of yourself and putting and making that a priority, because they once will, I mean, you know, probably be parents, and they need to understand that if you're no good, they're, you know, a lot of times they're no good. So like, yeah, I really like what you said about the massage and, you know, those things are important.
Yes,
you know?
they are. Very.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I was going to push us away, but let's stay here because I appreciate hearing this. And so, Chris, I want to give you opportunity to talk about it. I'm going to call it what Sister Tori said, call it leveling up. I like that. That's dope. I'm going to use that phrase from now on. So I'm just letting you know that. So Crystal. So Crystal, what do you do to level up? What do you do to
y'all need to see her pictures on Facebook because she be fly. Get it, Crystal.
And see, I can't even take credit for that because I struggle with the level up. Whenever someone says, you know, my son or my husband will be like, "Go get your nails done," and I'll think of 100 million things that I could be doing other than sitting and getting my nails done, or you know, anything. Go shopping, go do something for you, and then the guilt sets in. Well, you know, my daughter needs hair bows, or she needs this and she needs that. And it's recently where my husband, we date. I don't care if you live in this house and you don't pay bills, you're keeping these kids and we're going on a date, and that's what it is, you know. So that's kind of how I've been able to woosah. And as far like with me time, like I said, I struggle with saying, hey, you need to chill out, you need to time out. That's one thing that I wish I could level up. Like I need help in that area, but I do try to take time away from the kids just to kind of reboot the computer and come back, you know, right, and not be burnt out. Because as a nurse, it's like you're taking care of people all day long. So that is one area that I can honestly say that I struggle in.
So for the three of you, when you start thinking about advice you'd give to, whether it be for newer mothers or even seasoned moms, right? What would be some of those gems, those nuggets that you say, hey, this is what I think will be helpful for working moms to hear? Maybe it helped you, or maybe the challenges or pitfalls that you all have come to learn to avoid. I'm wondering what would be those things that you would share to others? Maybe like Sister, I think Sabrina, Sister Lucky, who you know, maybe how can you maybe help some sister right now, sister mom who is listening in terms of them and them finding their way?
One thing I would just say immediately, and this starts literally from delivery, unless you have your baby at home, but even if it works for if you have your baby at home, the one thing that I still regret now, 6+ years later, is that at the time when I had my son, I had good insurance. So I was able to stay in the hospital for a long time. Do you know I went home early because I felt guilty? Because I felt like my family was there to help me with the baby, so I should be at home. And I should have stayed all them days in the hospital because the nurses kept telling me, you need to stay the full time because when you go home, there is no longer a break. And let me tell you, I had the best rest in the world. Shout out to Northeast Baptist Hospital in San Antonio. It was great. They gave me a massage in the hospital. I mean, it was great.
I missed that.
Oh, and the stork dinner. It was great.
Now the
So you
stork
got
dinner is one to yes.
Yes. I
Yes.
had filet mignon. Like it was great, this hospital. It was phenomenal. But I'll
what
tell
is
you,
that
that was
hospital again? What's that hospital again?
Northeast
Northeast
Baptist
Baptist.
Hospital. Yes. And
Northeast Baptist. Shout
that's
out.
right. Right. I'm telling you, those nurses sent me a card afterwards. Like it was just so nice. But I mean, even something as minor as that may seem, that is a precursor, I think, to what your life will be like as a brand new mother. If you don't prioritize yourself from day one, you will spend the rest of your career mothering and chasing your tail, trying to catch up to the things that you need. And the thing about, I mean, I think it was you, Tori, that said, you will spend, your child is watching you. So they pick up our good habits and they pick up our bad habits. And you don't want to teach, let me teach you how to be stressed out and never take a break and wear myself out till I'm passed out on the floor. That is not a lesson you want to pass on. Let's pass on some other lessons. There's plenty for us to teach, but let's not teach that one. So that would be
Mm-hmm,
my advice.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I would say my advice would be to it's okay to say no. When your plate is full and you know it's full, it's okay to decline invites and it's okay to say no. It's okay to
Mm-hmm.
say no to your husband, to your children. It's okay to say no and to forgive yourself. No one is perfect. You're going to make mistakes. That's part of growing, growth, learning. Um, God forgives, forgive yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and take time to appreciate the small things. Sometimes we get so caught up in chasing the bigger dream that we miss the milestones.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have your bachelor's yet, so you don't feel successful, or you're not, this person is buying a house, so you feel like at this age you should be married and you should have the house, and you feel like a failure if you're not. And that's not what life is about. It's about running your race. So what does
Mm-hmm.
God have for you? And that's the path you should follow, and be tunnel vision to that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's that's the biggest lesson I've learned in being a mother all these many years to all these many children.
Mm-hmm.
Just take it easy on yourself.
Well, I would say that's good. I have a couple of things. One is we're kind of off, but like I remember when I had my daughter, I cared more about just maintaining a house and making sure everything's right, make sure everything's perfect. And so at the time, one of my girlfriends was like, Tori, girl, you need to relax your cleaning standards. You need to relax
Mhm.
some standards around that house because I was going crazy. Okay, she sleep. Now it's time to do this. Oh, she sleep. I'm gonna mop the floor. Like it was. I was just like she was. It just was a simple phrase she said. Relax your cleaning standards. Relax some of your standards. You're gonna drive yourself crazy.
Yeah.
So, and I thought
Mm-hmm.
about them like, yeah, you know what, you're right. So, you know what I do because I still kind of am like that. I just watch the perfect moms on YouTube. Like I watch them clean their houses. It's weird. It's super weird. I watch people clean their houses on YouTube and do they have perfect scheduling and do everything perfect. And I get joy out of that because I decided like, I'm not going to drive myself crazy. Like that's my main thing, y'all. My sanity is so important to me that I will figure out the boundaries and what I need to do to make sure I don't, that I can balance myself, right? But another thing that I would tell moms is maintain your social life. You
Mm-hmm.
know, Chicago's a very social city, and we like to, people like to party. You can party to the day you die here. It's a
Mm-hmm.
party for you. You 75, you can be stepping. If you 60, you can be lining. I mean, it's something to do. Like people, we like to socialize here, but I think a social life and your friends are extremely important. Maintain
Mhm.
your friendships. Get
Mm-hmm.
with your girlfriends. I'm in a book club where our book club is over 20 years old. We ain't stopped. You
Mm-hmm.
know, do we read the book every month? Eh, sometimes we don't. But we get together and we,
Mhm.
talk about things that we can't talk about at work or that we can't talk about on something like this or whatever. It's important to maintain your friendships because sometimes when you're in a relationship and you're married, sometimes those things fall by the wayside. And it's important, that we have, Bree, you and I have been friends for years, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, it's easy to lose, especially if you move around. It's easy to lose track of people. I'm
Yeah.
fairly good with keeping, making sure my friends are close to me. It's very important. You need somebody to be able to confide in and somebody you can just, be around and feel comfortable with. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Sister Tori's Bookless Book Club, holding it down on the south side of Chicago. Oh, my bad. See, okay. We've taken up you all's time. I'm gonna give everybody the phrase y'all want to say. I'm gonna bring it back to the haters.
Mhm.
What do we want to say to those haters? I know we got level up. We got what else we got? Sister Tori, what did the lady tell you about relax your cleaning standards? We got that.
Yes,
You know what I'm saying?
exactly.
So, but what do y'all? Because we gave some good advice. Y'all were bringing the heat on that advice. What do y'all say to those haters? What? We not giving too much time. Just that one liner. You know what I'm saying? I think Ice Cube said it best. I'm gonna just give you half a bar to the haters. So go ahead. What can y'all tell us for the haters out there?
Do you really want to know?
My bad, Tori. This family show. This is family show. Let me bring it back.
But not really.
I'm so like I'm really honestly very immature at heart.
Right.
Yeah, you ever heard that song? This is Chris Brown. Look at me now. Look at me now. I'm getting paper. Yeah,
That's right.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Mr. Crystal, how about for you?
I would say just keep watching. It only gets better. Keep watching. It's only gonna get better.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah. Sabrina, go ahead, break us down and take us out with your statement to the haters.
To the haters, I would basically say,
kill them.
right. I would just say, stay out my business unless you paying my bills. And if you want to send me a check, I'm good with that.
Hey, I love it.
Exactly. But ladies, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I know this was just a snippet into your amazing lives. Certainly, that's what we have social media for, to be able to watch what's going on. But we also know that, all things even behind the lens are, folks that are just making it every day. You sisters are beautiful, you're smart, you're successful, y'all are really making life happen. I'm so proud to know you. And I just think as women, we have to continue to encourage each other and to be there for each other and to really be that village that we've all described tonight that has really been there to support us. Shout out to the brothers who are holding it down for us, be it in the household or not, be it across town. Shout out to my brother who absolutely was my support system while having my baby, for sure, and still is. And look, we'll be watching him next week if you listening. T.O., thank you. But anyway, and we'll be taking him to Puerto Rico this summer. Shout out to him on that. But what I will say again is, thank you so much, ladies, for participating. Thank you, Bilal, for being my great co-host, even though mostly you don't know what you're talking about. But tonight you said a few smart things.
I don't.
But you don't. But it's all good. That's why we're here, to help you along. But in all seriously, though, you all have been listening to She's Always Right and He's Never Wrong, a podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Catch us live in the next month as we talk about fatherhood and all the things that go with that. Shout out to the men. We'll be hosting them next month. But also, too, if you want to find us after tonight's broadcast, please find us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. And now you can find this video live and uploaded on YouTube. We have our own channel, y'all. Woo! Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Thank you so much. This has been so much fun. You all have been a great audience. So we are going to say our farewells and good night.
Good night.
Good night. Good night. So let's see if we know how to come off now. All right. 1 second.